Woof. Diogenes here again. Let's have another story here. Let's say, who am I? I'll try to keep this about 10 minutes. It'll be just my version of autobiography, I guess. I can't remember if I left off somewhere or I started this or not. My brain bounces like a ping pong ball. Welcome to the great modern American cynic, Diogenes the dog. So, in the beginning, that's how raw and unedited do I want to be. I wonder if any of my family members will ever see this and scold me. Let's keep it like a fireside chat between friends. I'll tell who I am. Well, once upon a time, that's very Jerry Springer. My mother was 15 at the time, and my father, her stepfather, ended up having a baby with her. I was born just after her 16th birthday. I was adopted. Thank goodness, I suppose. My father, well, he did face punishment for it all. And she went on to become a doctor after my adoption. And my adaptability has always colored who I am, I suppose. Born of chaos, but raised in love, I was very lucky to be adopted by my mother and father. Raised me well, rather than being born in chaos to a young woman. I'm glad my mother was able to make something of her life as well, and while I understand if that side of the family never really accepts me, but that's not this part of the story. This is the beginning. So, the dog, the American dog, was born from chaos. And then I was put up for adoption because, well, I needed eye surgeries. I was born legally blind. I had 3 eye surgeries and pneumonia within my first 18 months of life. I was adopted at around 8 months old, I believe. I was in foster care from 4-month-old to 8-month-old. And then started my journey of multiple eye surgeries to correct my vision, and a lot of time in the hospital there that first year after, the 18 or whatever, 6 months. I was 18 months old, I believe, the last eye surgery I had to correct my vision. I was pretty, like I said, legally blind. And apparently they told my mother and father I'd be likely to ever play sports or drive a car. And while I may have some misadventures from both sports and driving, accidents, I have done well. I did drive an RV, through 41 states and 8,700 miles, climbing 10 different mountains. And, well, I'm a marathoner, a triathlete, and I did play basketball. I was pretty, a good jumper and defender until I got older. But my hands and eyes, they always held me back. As much of an athlete as I did become through, sheer willpower and perseverance. I call it much like Rock Lee. I may have not had Gen Jutsu or Ninjutsu, but I worked on my taijutsu as far as referencing basketball. And I got pretty good there by the time I was 18 or 19, but I'm a natural swimmer more than anything. And it just goes to that mindset of don't let others' opinions of you dictate your reality. And even if you are parents out there listening, even with some limitations, it's how we raise our kids. It's remarkable how much we can overcome if we learn how to improvise and adapt and figure out what works for us, like I did with basketball or anything in life. So this is the beginning, I suppose. But I remember having to wear eye patches. And then as I grew, so I could parent that I was quite neurodivergent, which is why I'm a little eccentric. And have so many flourishes. I'm like a very introverted extrovert. I like to be like Shukamaru, and I'd much rather be staring at clouds. But I do big things and do hard things and challenge myself. I guess I credit my adoptive father for that, for just believing in me and being a good person to mirror and learn from. It taught me a lot about humanity and being a man, as the stories that you can hear and what you can learn from people, just by looking at their eyes and seeing their humanity. We're all just struggling and fumbling through the abyss, regardless of what the influencers like to tell you in this world and all the polished moments. I like to be raw and unedited and speak from the heart. And I apparently am a little bit more eloquent than most, some have told me. Any of you young men that are still here while I'm getting sidetracked doing the weave, is if with this young male loneliness epidemic, women and men are a lot more similar than we would like to realize. But young men, you can't, you got to evolve a little bit and learn how to look at a woman as a person. You know, they can smell from a mile away when your intentions are less than pure and you're being dishonest about it. And the older they get, the less patience they have for it, man. So don't write them off as foolish women when you're being foolish men. So I digress. Where was I? I suppose we're about 8 minutes. So I'll try to keep it to 10. Maybe I should start wrapping up. So I overcame a lot with my eyes and eye surgery. I've actually had pneumonia 4 times in my life. And I've been up 14,000-foot mountains. I've been around almost every state in the country. I've traveled around the world roughly 10 times in the past 3 years now. I used to be afraid of flying. And I suppose this may be a good time to reflect on a quote of mine. I believe it's an original. I'll probably still expand my biography here for everyone, just to give a glimpse into who I am as I start sharing more of my work and publish my novels. I'm truly hoping to harness, the power of AI, technology, social media, and my innate creativity and world building and the characters I can build from so many years of traveling and watching and learning and studying humans. There's been more to it than just me enjoying life. I'm fairly well studied and well traveled, but we'll get to all that as the story continues. So I was born from chaos and told I couldn't, yet here I am, showing I can. So what my message to anyone out there is, take the time, have the confidence to look each other in the eyes. And it's hard for us neurodivergents to develop that skill. Heck, I'm a guy that pretty much lived off the same 2 foods for about 10 years of my life when I was a kid. It was basically tacos and like egg sandwiches. And I didn't want to eat anything else because I had like very big texture issues, and it took me a long time to finally branch out and be brave with my food. So that might be some motivation for you parents out there, is don't force your kids. But eventually, maybe if we have the right mentors, we'll choose to grow out of it ourselves as we age and get curious. But it's difficult when we're young and the world's overwhelming and we don't have the function to deal with all the overstimulation of the world around us. We're very sensitive people. And that's why a lot of us are loners and stick to our little worlds. A lot of my friends have always said I'm up in my fortress of solitude watching the world. So that's enough for today. my early years and part of what formed my Phoenix ethos of burn away yourself and always grow, learn, study, travel. Don't just exercise your muscles, exercise your mind. And take the time to listen to people that look different than you, pray different than you, love different than you. That's, to me, the biggest part of being a Christian is we're supposed to share that type of love. That's mentioned more in the Bible than any other word. Forgiveness and love. Not that I will get religious, but just for me personally, that's one thing I take away from my studies of it. As much as it's been misused for horrors, especially in the modern day of the agora that we live. I'm going to leave with one quote before I sign out for the day, and I do have another short story I'm going to be posting here. It'll be a serial short story, and I may continue my autobiography here, and I'll arrange the playlist so they'll be easier to find. But this is often inspired by others, but from what I've seen, it may be my quote original, and that is, often on the other side of fear lies unmanageable success. So, use that. Be perseverant. It's more about just showing up. And yeah, it's hard, it'll hurt sometimes, and there's a million excuses. I certainly could have used everything from my eyes to my spinal problems. I currently have like 5 herniated disc and a benign tumor on my throat, but don't worry, I'm alright. Phoenix tough, mad dog philosopher. I wish you well. I hope that this spreads and listens, and I'll be sharing my work and writing novels and hopefully trying to do well at Ironman Cebu 70.3 next year. As long as I stay focused, do the work, sweat, and life doesn't kick me in the pants too much. That's it. Woof. Diogenes out.